So this is really fun. We're here to talk about our favorite indie films of 2017 so far. And my friend Larry, LCScreentalk is here.
Hello.
So what's the first one that you want to talk about on your list?
Yeah, so the first one I'm going to talk about is Ingrid Goes West. I really enjoyed this film, and I went in kind of thinking I would enjoy it because Elizabeth Olsen looks like she was just ready to steal the show from me. She looked wonderful. Mm-hmm. Turns out she was wonderful in the film, as was Aubrey Plaza. I was a little bit skeptical though, because Aubrey Plaza always looks like she's making good film, and then I go in and watch it and I'm always disappointed. So it was very satisfying to get a good Aubrey Plaza film. Mm-hmm. But it had so much to say about our culture today, mm-hmm. and it did it in such a not in your face, not like super heavy-handed way. Like it is very clearly about social media and how we interact with others and our current society. But it did it in such a smart and intelligent way. I thought the writing was great. I thought the settings were great. And it touched on so many different things. The characters were wonderful. Ice Cube's son was so good. I'm like, oh, he's such a... This like made me love Ice Cube's son. I just really loved Ingrid Goes West.
I did too. It's in my top 10 of the year. I thought that it was really a movie about sort of modern day loneliness and how like... And also about how we just have no resources for people that are experiencing mental health crisis. My fifth one is a very obscure pick that you'll probably have to wait until Blu-ray DVD to see. But it's a wonderful animated film, indie animated film called A Girl Without Hands. And this movie was basically made by one man. Like, if you look at the credits, it's like, directed, animated, written, like everything. I think the music is the only thing he didn't do. Sebastian Louis Farrar, I don't know how you say French name, but anyway, this one guy basically made this whole movie, and like it's very abstract, it's very flowing, it's very sketchy. It's definitely not for somebody that doesn't have some appreciation for sort of more ambitious, artsy, independent animated films. But I really thought it was a beautiful story. It's based on this Brothers Grimm story that I wasn't familiar with, at least, the Girl Without Hands. And it's basically her, this woman, her father inadvertently sells her to the devil. Unique, and the artistic style was great. So I definitely recommend, it's like I said, very obscure, but maybe when it comes out on Blu-ray DVD, check it out. It's really good.
Well, that is not one I can talk about because I have not seen it, so.
Yeah.
So my next pick is going to be Wind River. And this one really spoke to me on a lot of levels. So I like a good suspense, I like a good thriller, I like a good horror. It's not really any of those things, but it kind of encapsulates elements of them and folds them into a really sobering, really important story. And I think I just loved that we highlighted an issue and a community that never gets highlighted. We talk about diversity in Hollywood quite often, and Native Americans, and in particular, like Native American women getting abused and going missing, and just even our lack of awareness to the fact that this is taking place was pretty sobering in and of itself, but I thought the direction was fantastic. I thought the script was really good. I really, really like this, and this might be my favorite film from Sheridan, actually, and that's saying a lot, because I really like Sicario, and I really liked Hell or High Water, so another
This is the first one he directed, and I thought it did a really good job creating a sense of place. Mm-hmm. I thought that it was very good. It was a very solid movie. I have a few nitpicks with it. I think that I wish that they'd made Elizabeth Olsen a little smarter. I felt like she was a little bit dumb. And she has to be told to like put on proper like outerwear for like this. Like, I mean, come on. Next pick. There's not that many movies that upon their initial release get released on Criterion Collection. So that's pretty cool. So as it says, a lot of people do love this movie, but it's Personal Shopper. And Personal Shopper I just thought was so masterfully made. I loved it. I thought that it was such it had emotion, it had, I just thought they managed to do things that really engrossed me with, like, to me it was so many things all at once, and I thought that Kristen Stewart was great. I thought that it was so technically well made. The sound design, the cinematography, I don't know, I just really thought it was great. There were a couple, like, I wish that I felt like the nudity was a little unnecessary, but other than that, I don't know, I just thought it was kind of perfectly executed film. I thought they managed to make things like, to me, sitting in a train answering text messages was completely like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next? And so I thought it was very well written and very engrossing. I thought Kristen Stewart was great, and so anyway, I have Personal Shopper.
Yeah, Personal Shopper was one I had to sit on for a minute because I was like, oh my gosh, what was that ending? I definitely was very intrigued about and this ending. I was like, oh, I need to know like what it's about. But Kristen Stewart, I really hope actually she at least gets into these conversations because I completely agree. This is, if not the best, like top 3 female performances for sure of the year. Like she was really fantastic in this movie. So I think it's a great pick. It was very exciting and fun to watch. It was probably one of the more unique experiences I've had. Yeah. My next pick is going to be Beach Rats. This is one I just actually saw for the second time, and I think maybe the subject matter obviously just rings a little bit more true with me, and I just found Beach Rats to be a really like sobering and kind of harrowing movie. It deals with a kid trying to come to terms with who he is, and in doing so participates in some very self-destructive behavior and like medicating and just doing so much internal like hatred that is going on here and like denial. But I thought it was a very different take on like a coming of age sexuality story that was done really, really well. And I know it's getting comparisons to Moonlight, but it's a completely different film from Moonlight. I do think Moonlight is superior to Beach Rats, but this one just affected me like on a deeper level than a lot of other films have this year. So I definitely think it's one of my favorite indies so far.
Cool, I've heard good things. I haven't seen that one. This one, most anime fans, you know about it, but the average person's not going to know about it. It's called A Silent Voice. And it is a movie, it's an anime film out of Japan. It actually won the Japan Oscars, whatever they're called, over Your Name. It actually beat Your Name, which is kind of crazy. Makoto Shinkai the director of Your Name, loves this movie. And it's really cool because it's directed by a woman, which is unusual for anime. Naoko Yamada is her name. And this was a really beautiful story about, it's told from the perspective of a bully, which is sort of interesting. And he starts out, there's this girl that's deaf that comes to the school. And he actually like is pretty mean to her, so it's very uncomfortable at first. And but then like you kind of zoom ahead, and he actually has punishments for what he did. Like, and he sort of learns his lessons, and they have this sort of, I don't know, like this moment of forgiveness and this moment of sort of understanding that they're both sort of damaged in the same kind of way in a way. It was no way forgiving what he did at all, but it was merely just saying like, it's about forgiveness. Gorgeous. It is so good, and it is a little bit too long. So if you're not a little patient, then you might find it. They could probably easily cut a half an hour off the movie, and it would be a little better. But I still really, it just spoke to me as someone who had been bullied as a kid. I really thought it was a unique perspective, and it was a really beautiful film. And it's
so my next pick is Good Time. So this was the Robert Pattinson leading film, and this movie just was so well constructed to me. It follows these two brothers, mainly just the one brother, after an initial event. And again, it's one of those movies that it doesn't really let him off the hook for his bad behavior, but he's such a layered and complex character. It was just so interesting and intriguing to watch as he like manipulated his way through this situation. And it puts you in like a funny place of like understanding, yet not condoning what the behavior was that was taking place. Plus, the performances are really solid, really strong. It is really well paced, super interesting, as I said. The script is fantastic, and then it ends on such a beautiful note that I think that really just kind of like lifts you up after what can at times feel like a bit of a darker film.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but my next, I've heard nothing but pretty good things about that one, but my next pick is The Big Sick, and this has gotten a lot of attention, so it almost doesn't feel like an indie, but it really is. But this was the true story of Kumail Nanjiani and his wife, Emily Gordon, and what happened when they were dating, and she ends up getting very sick, like the name suggests. And I still think that Ray Romano and Holly Hunter in this movie are Academy worthy. I think that they are so...
Oh, Ray Romano too.
Yeah, really, I think they're both excellent. At least Holly Hunter for sure. I think that they are warm and relatable and emotionally true to like like they could have been characters, but I thought both of them were excellent in their roles. And I thought that it was funny, it was sincere, it was romantic.
Yep, I own it. I actually blind bought it because I didn't see it in the theater. Yeah. So I look forward to finally seeing it.
And it's only R because of language.
But my final pick, it was tough. There was a lot of really good indies that I have enjoyed so far this year, actually. I didn't realize. But my final pick is one that I just saw and is just coming out into theaters, and that is Battle of the Sexes. So I'm kind of a tennis mega fan. I love tennis. So I already knew the story of the Battle of the Sexes. I know quite a bit about Billie Jean King. But I thought that this movie reminded me actually a lot of Hidden Figures, because it tells an important story, a really interesting story, and it does it in a very accessible way. I think this is one that will be a crowd pleaser. I think people will really enjoy it. I don't think it shoves like some feminist agenda like into your face, which the name may do a disservice to the actual film, even though that's what the tennis match was referred to as. I just feel like it's a really true story. Billie Jean King is such an interesting person to learn about, and Emma Stone really brings her to life. Steve Carell is good. He's not asked to do a whole lot more than play a big old over-the-top chauvinist, but he does bring some life into the character. But I just really enjoyed it. I left with a huge smile on my face, so go see Battle of Sexes.
Well, my number one pick will be no surprise to anybody on my channel, but a similar experience. You just left feeling happy, feeling encouraged about the world, and I think that this movie was really important because of the world that we have, and I needed that sense of positivity, and it's the movie Step. And this was a documentary I saw at Sundance. It was my favorite movie of Sundance, and it's remained my favorite movie of the year all year. Wow. And I just felt like it was, I'm a big school choice advocate, so the fact that they're showing this charter school and the way that they were the teachers and the guidance counselor were so invested in each child. And there's this idea that like your kids are in the inner city, therefore they're like unsalvageable. Yeah. And this is inner city Baltimore, like rough sections, and yet they're able to have all of these girls go to college, and it's really not a dance movie. It's a movie about girls and getting them to college and their families, and I loved all of the girls' families. I thought they were amazing. I loved all of the girls. I loved the teachers. I just found it so emotional, and so like I've seen it 4 times, and each time I just like leave, I just want to cheer at the end. I feel so good. I'm crying. I've seen enough interviews with them that I feel like it's pretty authentic to like who these people are, and it definitely like, I also liked that it went into like the mental illness of the one girl's mother. I thought that was really moving, and the frustration that she has in the fact that her mother is just not emotionally available to her, and showing her as sort of being conflicted. I just loved it, and when one girl gets into John Hopkins, it's so exciting, and you feel so happy. So in this day and age, it was the movie I needed, and I love it. So.
Yeah, that guidance counselor had me like cheering in the theater. She was like, so amazing.
So amazing. Like everyone needs a Miss Stoffet.
Yes,
like championing
every single
them.
School needs her. but like complex situations.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a stereotype. It wasn't the
No.
poor black families all
No.
across the board. No, they showed complex situations, complex families.
Yeah. Yeah, and people that were just trying so hard, and it's something I don't know, it just really moved me. And like, even although I loved Wonder Woman so much, but to me, like, Step will always have the edge because it's real. It's like about real people that like really are heroes, and so I loved it. So yeah. So thanks so much for watching these. Let us know what your indie picks for this year have been. Which ones do you like that we might have skipped over? There's been a lot of really good ones. So and if you've seen any of these, put in the comments your response, and please follow Larry on his channel. I'll have all his links down below. So thanks so much, and we'll talk to y'all later.
Bye.